Okay, so in this video, we are going to continue with classes and objects. We are going to talk about an array of objects. So the last time we left off with creating classes and a single object. Remember, we created a video class and accessor functions, mutator functions. You had a homework on how to create a single class for a task, created a single task with different constructors. Now we are going to move on to see how to create an array of objects. Okay, so it's essentially a list of objects. Instead of one task and one video and one song, we want to be able to create a list of songs. So here is a video class. It is similar. It has a couple of extra data members, doesn't matter. I have a couple of member functions. To recap quickly, here are the class members, here are the member functions. The data members are private, the member functions are public. It's a member of a class, it's a function, you put the prototype, nothing more in there. And private fields cannot be accessed by the client, but they can be accessed by the member functions. So set title can access it to copy something into title. Print can access all of these to print. So it's better to write a print function so the client can simply call the print function and the print function can print all this. Okay, otherwise you'll have to call get methods for each of these to get it and print it. So just write a print method that will print everything for you. So accessors and mutators, we've talked about this. Accessors are getters, which help us get values from an object. Setters are mutators that help us set values of an object. Clients and instances, once you create your class and have accessors and mutators, we create instances. They're like cookies. You have the cookie cutter and then you cut cookies with it, right? You can create multiple cookies with the same cookie cutter. That's exactly what this is. So you create multiple videos. A video here is an object that I create. And you've seen that in the previous homework, you can create A video, my video, B video, all kinds of different videos, and they are all exactly the same as each other. They all have their own titles, their genre, their quantity, all of that stuff. And we create all these instance variables in the client class or in main, right? That is where you have been creating all your instance variables. Those cookies are called our instances, our objects, okay? Now, if we want to create multiple instances, like a whole list of them, like 20 or 30 of them, we obviously wouldn't want to create 20 or 30 variables. We create a list, an array, which is what you've seen before. So an array of videos here looks like this. Each video will have a title, quantity, rating, and genre. And each video will have a print method and whatever else other methods that you create for the video class, which we do here, right? Every one of them is going to have all that stuff. The array numbering starts at 0. All this is very similar to an array. The array is called video list in this case. So the code kind of looks like this. Here is my video class, which doesn't really change. There's nothing different here. This is the same as what you had before. Again, my data members are a little different, doesn't matter, but it's the same. You have your data members, you have your constructors, default constructor, constructor with parameter, all the access and mutator function, and a print function. Like I said, have a print function. Because a print function written inside the class can access all the data members and simply say cout title, cout quantity, cout genre. Whereas if you write this in main and have them call the accessors to get the values and print, then that becomes a pain. So just write a print function inside the class like this. All you have to do is have a cout statement that prints it. So here is the client code in main. We have temporary variables because all our data members are private. We cannot quite access them. So we read it into temporary variables and then we set them using our mutator functions. Here's an example of an array of videos. I recall read data, which just reads from a file, returns an integer, which is the count of the number of videos I read from the file, goes into count. So different ways to do these things, right? Then I go through a for loop and just print an item. So list of i.print item. I'm printing every item in the array. So list of I is one item at a time, where I is 0, first item, I is 1, second item, and so on and so forth, right? Each item has its print item method, and I call it, and it prints itself. And it looks like this, okay? Now let's look at our code. This is like a sample code. You can look at this. Let's go here to my PuTTY server, and I have the code written for what we have right now. So if you look in this left side window, I pick up from the single video. Remember, we had a single video that we did last time that you used for your homework. The class is still the same. The class really has not changed at all. The video class is exactly the same. All I'm going to do is use this class and create a list of videos in main. So I have a const capacity equals 20 for my array. That's the only thing I added up there. Everything else is the same. Nothing needs to change in your class. Your class is exactly the same. So I go to main. I have a few other function prototypes for my menu and for my display menu read option, for adding a video to the list of videos, for printing my list. Remember, these are list functions. They are not my individual video functions. Whatever I have here with a class is all my individual video functions. So these functions have the class name with the scope resolution operator and all that. Whereas these prototypes here are just prototypes that I use for main, has nothing to do with that class. So they are just regular function prototypes, local function prototypes, okay? I have an add video, which will essentially add a video to this list of videos, which is from my class, okay? Print will print the list. Search will search to see if there is a certain year, a video with a certain year. And display menu brings up a menu. So these are local functions. Here's my main. The only thing that's different in main is I create a list, an array of videos instead of a single video. I do have a single video here, which is like my temporary video, but this is my list of videos where I can store an array of videos. Then I have my option, I have my output menu. These things are the same as what you had before. Display menu, read the option, use your switch. If they say A, I want to add to the list. If they say P, I want to print the list. I'm not loading from a file in this case. Okay, we keep it simple. We are still working on how to work with classes. So we're not loading from a file, but we will add that on as we go through. So add a video, print the list. Now here's where search, I search by a certain year. So search by a certain year, I set some values in a video. Again, these you could read from the user. I am not reading from the user. I'm simply doing set title and set year, right? Just putting hard coding some values in them. Then I search, I send that to my search year function. I send the list, the count, which says how many values are in the list, and the single video with these two values, right? Single video. So we're just going to compare every video in this list with this single video and print out all the videos with the year that matches this video, which would be 2012, because that's the value I set it to. Okay? That's it. So these functions you already know. Add a video, print the video, search the video list, read option, add video, takes this list. Now the only thing is, instead of a list of struct, it's a list of class. That's all it is. List of objects, class objects. A couple of things are different. Remember, they have their member functions. So we create local variables, temporary variables, read into the temporary variables, populate this single video that I created up here called temp video, right? I populate that using my set title and set year. Then I check to see if my count is less than capacity. My capacity is 20. I want to make sure that my count is within 20. If it is less than 20, then I take this temp video and add it to my list. List of count plus plus says add it to count. So for example, if my list is empty, count would be 0, right? Count is 0. You add it to list in position 0, then increment count. So it'll add to position 0, then count becomes 1. Then the next time I add, it adds to position 1, count becomes 2, and so on and so forth. So it's just an assignment statement. I take it from temp video and stick it into my array. That's it. And I say video added successfully. Else I say list is full because it has probably reached capacity. Okay. Then print list goes through a for loop. I have the list coming in. I have a count coming in. They are both constants, which means I shouldn't change those in this function. I go through a for loop and I call each item calls its print video. Remember, we wrote a print video in the class, which is way up here along with the class functions. So if you look here, here's my print video. It simply prints title and year separated by space, right? For each video. So if I do list of I dot print video, it calls each item, calls its print function. So list of I is each item. It has its own method called print video. It calls it, it prints it. Now search here takes the list and a single video which has some information in it. I go through the for loop again and I say if list of I, this is one video, it calls the method dot is equal year. We send the A video and say, hey, if this returns true, that means the year for this video matched the year for A video, and I'm going to print it. And I'm going to set a variable found equals true. Else, I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to go back to the for loop and continue looking in my list of items. So I compare each item, this is each item in the array, to this existing A video that has come in. If the year matches, it will print all of them as we go through the for loop. Else, it will say videos, no videos found, right? So that's it. Those are all the functions that are written here. Let's test it here. So if you run my executable, I print there's nothing in my list. Remember, I did not load from the file, so there's nothing in my list. I add a movie, and add The Lion King, maybe 2012. Add another movie about Avengers 20, maybe add a different year. Add another video about Wonder Woman. Okay, just 2012. So print, look, I have 3 videos in my list. 2 of them are 2012. And that's what I'm searching for, if you notice, if you go back and look at my code. So if I do S to search, it doesn't ask me anything because I didn't make it ask me for anything. I simply said search for a movie with the year 2012. And it searches for it and it prints all the movies with that year, right? So that's all this program does. The main takeaway from this program is it shows you how to create a list of videos in main. And we have written a whole bunch of functions that go with it that take this list and do something with it. Okay, the important thing is that now each one can call its own print video function. There are methods, and in the search function, we can call the dot is equal year, and it can compare itself. If you look here, as we go through the array, it compares every element in its array to the A video that's coming in and prints something if it is there. Okay, think about it.